Good evening. When I walked in here about a minute ago, I'm like, is it the wrong night? Did I go to the wrong town?
I saw it, yeah. It's too cold.
I can see it on our speed signs on the way in. They're so dim tonight because the batteries are just stressed.
I never thought about that, yeah.
Good news, I don't think there's a lot of reason for people to be cruising tonight.
I thought town actually seemed kind of quiet.
It definitely did. Hey, Scott. For you, for the fire department.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
I already mentioned the head, so we can scratch it. Yeah, he's already got it spent.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Oh, the goal was this morning. Cold was the kind that we never got. Good evening, y'all. By chance, did Debbie
He did. And we have receipts. I checked with extra billing.
Okay.
And they said they haven't marked this paid too. So I don't know. Because I know you're a little bit upset.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure what's going on there.
I said, well, timing was everything. Yeah, we also need tomorrow. But I said, I'm running out of time.
Hi, Lauren.
Yeah.
No.
If he is stuck.
I don't know, he picked up Evelyn about 5 o'clock and he had to run to Albany, 60 miles. No, his sister, so he's going to look at it with her.
I have to go to some meetings.
How'd you see the gear? Yeah. Make it your retirement to get back. So we might have to take 406, which would be fine.
What shack is this going to be?
Oh, you don't have one there yet.
Okay.
Something like that.
I put it on the top.
Yep.
Okay.
Or get it separated or however you want to do it.
No, that's fine.
I'll get you one.
Excellent. Tuesdays? Yeah. Yeah. Stalker.
I was sort of.
I get you, like, I didn't even open. There's always one other car in there on that one side.
Ooh. No, there's a year right here.
Yeah.
You go more.
Really? Yeah. Right.
You doing, Chief? Not bad. Just tired. Tired of everybody else. She's right here, punch the holes in the paper. I'm just gonna
Ready?
run out of things to do. Don't turn that on yet, I guess. I suppose I could have did yours, stupid me, I would be fine.
I think someone's here. And your papers are all here yet. Oh, you can sit next time, did you? I do. Who's got that? I do.
Well, I do from like 9 to 9:05. Literally, it's something like that. Then a little drool comes.
COVID test.
All right. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No additions or changes.
Additional changes? We have motion to approve the agenda. Oh, for the agenda. Make motions, second? Second. Seconds, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Public forum. All right, we'll close public forum. Consent agenda. You running the ditch? Morton,
What's that?
you running the ditch?
Yes. First plowing.
I chuckled when I read that.
Yeah, it was over by Bob Heston's back tire slid in, and every time I tried, it just went farther and farther.
There was one that looked like it got built twice. Somewhere. The Star Publications, same,
Because we ran it at 2 different times. That's what's going.
So I have a question, so this initiative formation, was that something that Y wanted, right?
Yeah, it was proposed last year, and then council approved it for the 2022 budget.
Okay.
So, we received a letter from them reminding us of our pledge.
Sure.
So that's why I went ahead and entered it, so.
are you using that at all, or? what do you use for?
I have not contacted them. I think Dave mentioned that they can be helpful, but
Yeah, there's scenarios out there where we're looking for money that will be helpful.
Okay.
it hasn't been printed yet, the check, so that's part of the,
Okay.
you guys approving it tonight.
The Rural Water Association, there's two for 125, same date.
That's because I have to split it into 2 different account numbers. Half goes to the water fund, half goes to the sewer fund. So if you look to the very right side, you'll see there's a 601 and a 602. That's what that means.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That,
Accounting stuff.
anybody have anything? Consent agenda? Anybody? Okay, Tim motions, second? Seconds, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Joan, treasurer report.
Yes, okay. The auditors contacted us, and we have that date on the schedule. Well, it's on the same week as we normally do. It'll be remotely again, which is really nice. You can just email or use the online portal, so that works well. Holiday coming up in February 21st for President's Day. And then we do have several applications. I would say there's at least 20 of them-ish for clerk treasurer. I'm starting to, Nick helped me get a spreadsheet going, so we'll get some information to you shortly on that. And we just need to talk about a special meeting too, probably, scheduling one.
You want to do it now, or is that come up later?
Probably now, and I know we talked about you want to bring up the other EDA
Oh, yeah.
stuff too.
So, this next Tuesday?
Yes, that was the best date for, I think, you and Jason.
Does next Tuesday work for everybody?
Well, it may not work for me. I have
Oh,
on Wednesday. I don't know when the festivities begin.
I gotta get out of jail pass. Too much information, I know, but
It's a really funny story, because your dad's not watching.
Well, I do that too, because I don't
No, I think they should be able to. Say that hesitantly because we have a, no, we have a place rented for a full week up in Brainerd. I was planning on being back, so I should be good. We'll plan after this.
I mean, we can do it with three, it's fine. Well, then, if Joel sends out like what you guys have been working on, then,
Yeah.
I mean, at least everybody will at least look at it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
put in 2 cents about it.
Right.
As long as we have three, or we need three.
Planning to do like interviews then next Tuesday?
No, the plan is to send all the resumes and everything, along with a summary sheet, just to, and Mike had mentioned even covering up the names, even, so that you're kind of looking at, you don't know who it is, to make it even that much more fair. So that sounds, so I think the idea is just going over all of the resumes and just picking out ones that
And
maybe
you
you guys
can
want
provide
to.
it to whoever you want to interview.
Yeah, that was my thought anyway. That's what you guys are thinking. Because the full council wanted to be involved in that.
So then, and then after that, we would schedule like another time to actually bring people in.
That's what my understanding is.
Okay,
Yeah, your guys', yeah.
But then we would do that part second and close that portion of it. And the first part would be EDA base, so then that way the whole EDA would come in as well. And then just to go over EDA stuff with the council. That makes. Sure. That's what I'm gonna do it. I'll make whatever.
No problem.
Okay.
So we're sitting there. Tuesday the first.
Okay. And one other additional item, I talked to Carl Lutz yesterday, and followed up to our last meeting with the shed. He's out of town for the winter, so he was wondering if you could have till July 1st to take care of that shed. So I wanted to bring that to you guys, since we said March 1st to be.
July 1st is a stretch, isn't it?
How about June first?
I said June 1st, and he said July 1st. So,
Well, he doesn't get to dictate on this, so.
Could say May first.
I was just gonna say, let's say May 1st, and then maybe June 1st, you'll be happy with it. Unless anybody objects to that.
is that council direction then, March neighbors?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and that is all I have.
How's everything been going
all the yard stuff, 1099s, W2s, all the, like, water and stuff, has annual reporting, so it feels like a lot, because there's a lot of items, but I think, so far, I've been able to meet deadlines. So, I may end up doing a little more this weekend or something, or work late some night, just to try to get through that. Depends on how many phone calls I get, the phone's very off the hook the last 2 days, so.
Do you need help with something?
Yeah, we can, then as well.
Yeah, I definitely, thank you, Nick, for that, you reached out a lot, so, part of the hard part is just, I don't know how to hand off some of it, you know? I know how to do, you know, W2, 1099, there's certain software, you know, it's just, I'll try to keep it back in my mind, but
Yeah.
there's a lot that I just kind of need to do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Andy, chief?
Last month we had another busy one, 5 medicals, we had 5 fires, and then the other night we had 1 wild goose chase for a semi on fire and nobody could locate it on the interstate, so he just kept right on driving, I guess. So, we'll be doing, I got 3 applicants for new firemen, so we'll be doing those interviews in February. I guess I need approval for our chiefs. We had the new chiefs coming up or whatever for this year. Everything stays the same. I'm still the chief again. Jamie will be an assistant, so will Brandon. So I think I need approval for that one.
Need a motion? I'll make a motion. Second? Second, so all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. And thank you guys for council for working so nicely with us. So, and the only other thing I got is vehicle update. We're still in the process of looking. So we had a new one come out last night, and we're kind of second line for that one. But
What do you find out on that one?
it was supposed to be tonight or today sometime. Never did really find out, so. But the price of the used ones, they're all about 10 years old because everybody's on that 10 to 12 year cycle. So you're gonna find one that's 12 years old, and the ones we're kind of looking at are still like around that 120 to 130, somewhere in there. And then we gotta outfit them and get all that stuff. And a new one with all the warranty, 10-year warranty and everything, about 185. But now they already said if we wanted to look at another new one and order it, say tomorrow, there's already almost a 15% increase on that stuff to start with. They said the stuff is going absolutely through the roof, so, you know, you're looking at another $15,000 to $20,000 if you keep waiting. So, but we're still looking. But other than that, that's kind of all I got.
Jamie, got anything?
Really.
Andy's doing a great job.
So,
Yeah.
could we make a motion to buy the new fire truck without knowing if we have like a pre-approval? Like if we can get it, well, that way around there. Just that way it's easy, that way if there's no, if they need to transfer next month.
Well, you know, everybody wants to play that salesman pitch, you know, oh, I got, you know, other guys on the line and all that. Whether they do or not, they probably do, just because there are no used ones out there, you know, so, I don't know. We have the money, I've already been looking at, I gotta figure out who I'm gonna go to asking for other funds, everything like that, that we get from the sale of our rescue rig now will go into it, you know, and wherever else we get funds from is going right back into the sinking fund is what it'll do, you know, so I got, what do we got, Jamie? Jamie, Lauren, we got Larry, Zach, Kurt, Brandon, and Scott. So there's like 7 of us on this committee looking at them, you know, so.
So let's say, whatever, let's say you become first in line first thing in the morning. I mean, that's a good point though, bring up, like, can we do a motion to give him approval on it? I mean, you just.
I would still kind of do like a run it by you guys first type of a thing, you know, like we kinda, you know, give something to you and then you can give it to the council to kinda let them know that this is what's going on, just so all of a sudden, next meeting, it ain't, hey, guess what, here's our keys for our new vehicle, you know.
So what you seen last night, is that really like a nice deal, or are we just doing it because?
No,
that's all
it's,
there?
no, it's
Okay.
so my question was, is if we bought let's say these 10-year-old or 12-year-old ones,
Yeah.
Tim, you know how much expense, how much vehicle repairs are.
No,
You know, so if I was to budget $3,000 to $4,000 a year, in 10 years, that's 40,000, that's the price of the new one, really, the difference is. You know, and maybe that's on the low end, I don't know on some of these.
No, I wasn't gonna after the new to the used.
Oh.
What you've seen,
If we're gonna settle, you mean, type of a thing?
with that, is that
This one would sure
they still
fit.
want the needs?
Yeah, we were putting gear, we put some gear in there and everything.
That more.
Make sure some things fit.
Yeah, make sure everything fits and that type of stuff, you know,
Okay.
so. And it does,
Yeah.
everything does fit, so.
Plus the warranty's pretty good on it too.
10-year warranty on the engine and that stuff, 10-year on the body. You know, the electronics had what, like a 2-year,
I think 2 or 3.
2 or 3 years on the control panel. This is a place where Melrose buys all their ambulances. And they said they've done their research, looking all around with all their bids, and they always go to this place because it's always,
Well, to me, it looked like the one Albany has. Pretty similar.
okay?
Just driving by, didn't have my head in it, but I
Yeah.
seen it go by. Albany's would be the pretty lime color.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it looks sort of like their,
Well, I know their rescue thing is they're using it, they got like a Suburban. They also have a Suburban they use, type of a thing too, they bought a while back. But for our needs, I mean, it will fit. And the big thing is now it is 4-wheel drive. You know, the other day we had, or last week at one of the fires, we were out there by Hunter's Bay or whatever that is out there by Birch Lake. Not a nice place to get in and out with anything, and we're getting stuck with just the trucks out there, you know. And so it's kind of nice having the 4-wheel drive, and I guess it's starting to become more of a fad, or not a fad, but a thing. The vehicle is just kind of automatically going to 4-wheel drive now, so, which is nice.
Who buys 2-wheel drive in this?
Yeah, that's what they said too, yeah. Yeah, and we have had to shovel places before, to get our rescue van in there, just to make it through the snowbanks, and
Does it fit in the shed?
yes, it's about, what do we figure, a foot shorter than what we got now,
Yep.
so. Yeah, it's higher inside, it's a 6-foot interior now on all of these, so you can stand up in there a lot better. But, I mean, so yeah, some sort of like a pre-approval type of a thing might not,
I don't know,
I mean, I know I could push these guys off for a couple days, you know, I just gotta say, look, I gotta,
is it more of a, I mean, it would be easier, not easier, would it be more efficient for us to do it now, to get Andy okay on it, versus check your emails, check your texts,
Yeah.
that type of thing, and then it's like, then it questions the, right,
whatever stuff. Yeah, I mean, I guess the last night you guys use it, you guys have to know what you need, you know. So, yeah, whatever you guys think this will fit, I mean, I'll make a motion to pre-approve the purchase of that rescue van, which would, if that's okay.
if that's the one that fits the needs.
and if this one doesn't, we're still looking, you know,
It's
but,
all about that.
It's just the whole ordering thing gets expensive.
that's just it, you know, and
It's another 30.
We can possibly build it when we want it, but then, you know, you're looking at that price increasing.
$100,000.
yeah, then it's too much.
So then, at what point does then that used one in North Dakota look appealing?
Well,
I mean, if it's a 15% markup for a month difference,
for which one?
like from a month ago, it's like if you order a truck a month ago, it's probably 10% more now.
Yeah, And let's say we had to order one right now, it would be March of 2023 before you would see it, they said. That was what their conversation was today. So, it's a long time out there. Plus, you know, you got that, whatever their markup or the percentage it is, you know, 10%, 15%, just keeps going up. They're not going down. You know, pretty much now that the bar is set right there, they're not gonna go down, they're gonna keep going up. So, but we've been toying around, you know, do you buy a 10-year-old or 12-year-old one with X amount of miles with no warranty, with nothing? Or you spend the extra, you know, 40,000 or whatever it happens to be, and just get your new one with all warranty and,
Hopefully it lasts 20 years.
right. So,
Nick, we made a motion to pre-approval. Second it?
I guess I would second it, but I'd really like to stay in the loop,
well, yes,
I guess.
Before I would give the final okay, I would still
You know,
run it through Mike and have him get a hold of you guys. And, you know, of course, they're gonna bring it up here again and let us look at it, and I'll invite, like I did last night. It was short notice last night, I realize that, but you know, we'd go through that same whole process again, you know, so. Okay,
Motion and a second. Like you just explained,
Mhm.
the same thing that we did.
yeah,
yeah.
okay, thank you.
All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And I do have that grant, I submitted a grant, it's called a micro grant, for new extrication equipment. They're battery operated ones. If we get it, we get it, if not, we'll keep using ours, but it was a nice small one that you kinda get pushed to the front of the line if it's below $50,000. So they said they kinda like to give those grants before your $200,000 or $300,000 ones, cause that way they can give more grants out, and ours was like 38,000 or something like that, so we'll see what happens. That's all I got.
You ready? Morton, Public Works.
Just a couple FYIs, I, just went and picked up some blades for the plow truck this morning. I'll be putting them on tomorrow probably. I'm gonna be getting a new cylinder for the ton truck, one of them snapped. And then in front of you, I gave you a sheet, you can read it, not read it, but in the gist of it. MDH is basically requesting permission to do a manganese sample in our town. They did it in, I think it was 2011, they have on here, it took place from 2010 to 14. They did it here, I think, in 2011. Basically, they're just gonna test it, and then they're recommending that if our numbers are high, which they are, they're above, normally 100 is the number they go off of. The last test we did, we were at like 140 and 180 out of the well houses. So then they basically would be asking us to notify everybody who lives in the city that we have high numbers. And that's basically all they're doing. And it's all just a request. You know, there's nothing set in stone that, it's not an EPA rule. It's just something they're looking at. Pretty minor to me, I guess. I would say we let them do it. We know what our numbers are. I did talk to Kim, just making sure that, you know, you're not gonna come down the road here and say we need a treatment plant, and by no means, there is no EPA rule, so this is just totally an information type thing.
So that's the only way to get this number down is to start a treatment plant?
Pretty much.
And what does it do with high?
Okay. I don't even know how you really, so they say it could affect infants under the age of 1 if the numbers are way too high, and it could affect the elderly. But the last number I heard they think is like 300. That they think that's when it could affect somebody. Like I said, they don't know. They're just shooting a number, and Department of Health is just kind of getting it out there to see what everybody's numbers are. Pretty much every town that doesn't have a treatment plant around here is going to be doing it. But they do need the city's approval to do it.
So what if we say no? What happens then?
I guess it kind of just looks like you're trying to hide something. You know, because, I mean, it's going to be out there. People are going to hear about it, that all these towns are testing. So if you had a resident all of a sudden say, hey, what are your numbers? Oh, we opted out of that test.
Sure.
Kind of looks like you're hiding something.
I don't think enough people care, though. But I'm indifferent. Let's do it, if not.
They're not gonna tell us anything we don't already know, right?
No.
Need a motion or just direction?
She would have to let the Department of Health know that we're okay with them doing it.
Probably.
She just needs to respond to the email saying, yep, go ahead.
I'll make that motion.
Motion's it, do a second. Second. Favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And then last is just that quote from the farm center. Oh, I guess I have another quote from Cars too.
Did you run this by Jim like we asked?
Jim,
Gosh, since he helps do a lot of lawn cutting.
run what past him?
Well, as we said, to get his input on it too and find out, like, what we could use. Short answer is no. Wasn't happy.
Well, I talked to Jim Notch, but I don't know what, I mean, I basically asked him, you're barring getting a gas lawnmower, which would be what Jim has. And that would be like a no heat, no nothing. That's what you'd have.
I just wanted you to get Jim's
Yep,
input on what to get.
yep, and when I had talked to Jim, you know, he's got a gas lawnmower basically. I think he's gonna put a 42-inch deck on it. But that one, the one he uses, he is not. That's just strictly for a sweeper and a blade. But with that size lawnmower, you're gonna put like a 40-inch deck on it. And that would be that. There's no heat in there, there's no, nothing. Where this would be the smallest tractor in the diesel world.
That was my question, is this a diesel?
Yep.
Okay.
Which would be small enough to still basically do what that one does.
Did you get a chance to look at it?
I did look at it, and Jerry stopped by the lumberyard, and he kind of talked to me about it too. He said that the more that we have, that, when I was telling Jerry, I said, well, I was kind of thinking this would be a replacement for the one that cuts the lawn, and has a 72-inch deck, and he goes, that lawnmower also shouldn't have had that big of a deck on it when that happened originally. He goes, it's kind of a little underpowered for that deck, but he goes, made it work, right? So, but this one, the biggest deck you can get on it even is only a 60-inch. Because it is a small tractor.
Yeah, there's some pictures on my side of the page.
They're cute, but I don't know, you know, and he even said too, he goes, I'm not sure what you guys are planning on doing with it, and I thought, well, we're kind of looking at a simpler way to maybe clean off the sidewalks and make life easier that way, plus make it a, you know, the lawnmower to replace that one, because that one's getting beat up. And he said the one that we currently have is an industrial type of lawnmower, where this is more of a little bit more on the residential or lighter side of it.
one we have, he said there is a lot of value left in it, even though it's got a lot of orders and stuff, but that one is like purely industrial. So I don't know if we gotta switch gears a little bit and go towards like what to replace that one. I don't know, but it was good to visit and looked at it. And it's a pretty sweet tractor. Maybe around, it'd be kind of cool to be in my garage, but for the purposes of Freeport, like I don't know. Do you see a lot of benefit in this particular tractor? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's borderline pushing, because it's still a longer tractor, you know, with the sweeper on and everything, it's still a lot. It's still gonna be, I would bet you, 2 feet at least longer than like the one you see driving up now.
This might be a premature question. Are we thinking of getting rid of one of them?
Well, originally I was under the understanding that we would replace that industrial one because that's getting worn out. So I originally thought, you know, why not try and take care of some other things that we possibly could use with a broom sweeper or something in the next tractor, make sure you're able to have those attachments put on it. This one is not the same as the one if we were to replace it, because that one is getting worn out and beat up. And so I think we should focus on maybe, well, I can focus on whatever, but to replace that industrial type of one with something similar in hopes that we can maybe multi-use it for moving snow or something, like that, if we see fit, or if that would help us. Or more. Not too much meat.
So this one is too small.
Looking at it, I don't see the city of Freeport benefiting from this smaller size tractor.
That was it. So does Jerry have something bigger that would work? Did he say?
He didn't, he was kind of in a hurry, he was actually delivering it to the guy that bought it. So he just said, I just wanted you to take a look at it, so somebody else besides Lauren physically put eyes on it, this is what you're looking at. Okay. And I said, no, that's great, you know. But I think you put the two next to each other, I think the one that we have, and he said it, he goes, that is an industrial size or just industrial. I don't know, better built, or I'm not sure. Heavier built compared to this one. Yeah. So I'm assuming that would handle the wear and tear a lot better than something like this.
So we can hold up.
I would think so. I would think he would have plenty of access. I'm guessing he was the one that sold us the original tractor. My assumption is.
Yeah, and he didn't have a bid yet on the sweeper for like the one we have, but he said the smallest you're gonna get in that is like a 5-foot width.
That's all right, isn't it?
I don't know if it's gonna make it all the way through here.
Around the trees and stuff, or around the main.
It might go on this street, it wouldn't do anything in the middle, I don't think. I
Well,
think
not
there you
run it this
get,
way, but you run it. Do they articulate those rooms? I don't know.
Hey,
So then you
Yeah,
got a little
it
bit
would.
of swing that way, you should be able to. I don't know, I guess I don't even know what that boulevard looks like.
well, they got trees right in the middle of it, so you got, you know, 2-3 feet on each side of the tree. So when you're sweeping, I guess, I don't know if they pivot this way, because you're gonna have one tire on the tar and one on the sidewalk.
They chop.
I'm guessing you wanted bigger trees in there.
They weren't supposed to grow.
Was that you?
No, it's not. Not personally.
So we can hold up now.
Okay, and then the cars was that $2,000? That would be to do by the new tower,
On over there.
that pond over there. If everybody's okay with that one, I would tell them to do it as soon as they can.
That would be this winter, yeah.
Yep.
Have a motion to do that? Make motions, second?
I'll second.
Second, 2 seconds. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Great. Good. That it, Lauren?
That's it?
Thank you.
Yep.
David?
All right, project update, working with USDA on American Iron and Steel correspondence, and that's a fun deal. The state engineer is supposed to come out during construction, but he failed to do that, so we get to make up for it by sending him pictures and spreadsheets and signed papers and stuff, so it's pain in the butt, but we'll make it happen, so. Nothing we weren't expecting, nothing that wasn't in my contract, so we're ready for it. County Road 11 bridge, got a call from the MnDOT project manager on this one, looking for a little guidance. He is doing an estimate on replacement of that bridge instead of rehab of it, like we expected he would do. He was looking for my input on whether we would prefer wider bike lanes on both sides, like a wide shoulder and a small sidewalk, or just one big sidewalk.
Is this after last month?
Yep.
So that he was told that 3 times already? This is
Yeah.
Luke?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, but, you know, he wasn't sure, he knew we wanted pedestrian access, but we hadn't really talked about whether we wanted to use a shared sidewalk for bicycles and pedestrians, or keep the bicycles, you know, with the traffic and the pedestrians separate, the walkers separate. In this case, I'd rather have a wider sidewalk and put everybody on it, because we're not talking about commuting bikers here or racers, we're talking about a family with their kids on bikes. Let's widen that thing out as much as we can, so. I told them that was probably our preferred option on one side of the road.
Because now we have two, we have one on both sides, right?
No, it's just on the east side, right?
Just on the east side.
And it's narrow.
Yeah.
We realistically won't put a sidewalk on both sides of the road, no matter what. The cost is just exorbitant to do it. So, pick a side, I would say it's gonna be the east side, because they don't have to cross 11.
Yeah.
You done?
Sure.
Okay, so a question, and I'm gonna throw this out there in all seriousness, because I threw it out there at him the first time I talked to him. What is the process to get the bridge, if they're gonna redo the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
why don't they turn it east-west? I know cost is the short answer. So that we have an Albany-looking bridge,
So that the interstate crosses and we go under,
or, yeah, whatever.
under, over, whatever,
Yeah. Because, I mean, if we have an opportunity, like, this is the first time this bridge has been touched in, what, 50 years?
probably that, yeah.
So if we have an opportunity to fix that stupid overpass, I think we should at least try to push on it a little bit.
They are going to have to find out on their own that it doesn't fit there with the current standards, and they're gonna find that. Because they're gonna have to break their own rules to fit it in there with grades and stuff, because we know it's too steep now, and it's gonna be in the future.
And they wanted to make it steeper from what he was saying,
They would almost have to.
to make more clearance underneath.
Yep. So they're gonna come up with that on their own. We can't tell them to put in 2 bridges instead of 1, because like you said, it's cost, it's probably honestly double. Because now you're doing 2 bridges on the interstate traffic instead of narrow bridge crossing. So that's gonna be the motivation. But they'll find it out on their own when they start doing their investigation there. It's not gonna fit very good.
Because the way that he was talking about changing the pitch of the crown of that to give more clearance underneath it, he talked about having to redo the off-ramp going west. I'm like, well, if you do that, you're already halfway there, kind of thing. So then I'm like, that isn't really a realistic option here.
You know, and it comes to something he's probably never seen it in person.
Okay.
And if he hasn't seen a survey for it that looks at it. I know we have the county's backing on this. Jody will be very much so making sure things don't get worse than they are now. So,
Because he talked about doing either a Microsoft Go Team meeting or something. Like, do we have an option to sit in on those?
for sure. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I have not seen or heard from him since, it's been a few weeks now. aren't going to have made any more progress than where we are now, but we're gonna talk about it a lot between now and then. It took me to get 3 blocks done up north, it's taken, it was supposed to happen in 2020, we're gonna now build it in 2025, so it's not gonna go fast, but there's no reason you can't mention it, you know, bring it up and say, why can't we do this? And he's gonna go to cost, but
It's a state project, they've wasted a lot more dollars elsewhere for stupider things.
we gotta find an animal that's gonna cross it instead of people, because then we'll get some other, find an endangered species.
Dave, you wanna do this in 2026, right? Remember, right? Wanna do the bridge in 2026?
I think that's what we were looking at, yeah. Which seems like a long ways out, but
It's really not.
it's not, it comes fast always. But like I said, I've seen that, anytime we're talking this kind of money, it's gonna take special appropriations, unless some of that federal money comes back, where there's a lot of road and bridge money in it. And if the bridge money is there, that could be the one thing that would accelerate it. But that's also probably the token to get what we want, because there's federal money coming through, so. It's worth bringing up, and I.
Well, that's just, like, with that whole plan, I mean, if that actually does all happen, I mean, how do we keep pushing on it or change it? Since the funding will be there, possibly will be there.
Yeah, there's more potential now than there ever has been, probably.
You know.
Yeah, the trick is to just, you know, when we get a chance to give input, we do so. Don't sit on your idea, even if it is something that you know is more expensive. The worst thing we can do is tell us no. I wouldn't hesitate to tell him that. I can email Luke if you want me to, or we can wait for him to give us a chance for input. It doesn't matter either way. But the
Talk to my aunt, just tell them like we want to be involved every step of the way. So,
Yeah, that would be quite interesting, right? And just go level the road.
it'd be better. It's all a lot of other problems.
It does.
It creates some problems with drainage too, but they're not insurmountable. But
As long as we're in the asking stage.
and that's clearly, that's squarely where we are. Is let's talk about options. I mean, they went from we're going to just take our sidewalk out and resurface the bridge to at least putting together an estimate for a new bridge. So I mean, they've already gone that far. So they listened to this point. The nice thing is I think we have Jody on our side, squarely in our court as far as watching out for us.
Just keep her happy.
We keep Jody happy. She'll let you know if she's not happy. So discussions continue on that one. Last thing I have, 7th Street Southeast, I have a contract in here for my work on it. Same cost that we've been talking about the whole time. I will tell you that this cost, I'm going to be under by about this much on the other project. So it's going to come out in the wash. But at the same time, I don't think you want to pay for 7th Street Southeast over 40 years like we are on the other side. So I think we want to keep the funds separate. Like I said, these costs have all been included. We'll do the construction hourly, so if we can get 2 birds with 1 stone while we have somebody else in town, fantastic, we'll do it that way. So.
And that includes 8th Street.
Yep,
Okay.
7th and 8th, yep. Yep, that's all I have.
Is that for you?
If you guys approve that one, yeah, then I'll stop talking.
Okay.
I won't filibuster here either way, but the plan is to be ready for bidding in March. Yep.
So this is for approving the whole con.
Yep.
There's a motion to approve Dave's.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Dave motion, in seconds. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Scott, attorney?
Yeah, we just have one thing in my report that's dated the 19th, and that was the deadline we gave the property owners that are on Second Avenue to abate their nuisance. And I checked with Joan, and there were two issues that we listed in the abatement order. One was getting a recreational equipment that was parked in the front lawn, out of the front lawn. And that's been done. It's been properly moved. The other was just trash and debris in the backyard. And given what we got for conditions, weather and snow, who knows, what it looks like. So I sent them a letter. We should be getting it in the next couple of days, post office willing, saying that, acknowledging that, okay, taking care of the one item, we can't tell, what's been done in the second item, and told them that, we would go back and check, like, by April 1st, give them an extension till April 1st, and that, if the conditions were still bad, then we go ahead and go to court to enforce the city council order. But, so yeah, they need to get back there where you see, covered in snow. So I got a reminder in the calendar, and I'll Joan will be doing. She's hoping it's not hers. Well, come April, but just to follow up and see what they take care of that last item, and still debris back in the yard that needs to be cleaned up.
That it?
That's it.
Thank you, sir. Building inspector?
Yes, so we received this letter on page 32 from Jeff Howe, I'm guessing that's how you say it, expressing interest in working with the city. And also Inspector, which is the one that purchased Mark Harn's business. They let us know that Michael Fredericks would continue to be our inspector going forward, because he's been hired by them. So those are the two updates I
I did check with Inspectron, and the city of St. Joe has them. And the gentleman who does the city of St. Joe really like him.
like Michael,
No,
or the inspector?
the inspector of St. Joe
Oh, okay,
was not Michael.
gotcha.
So, I don't even know what it says. So could the city of Freeport, and they're not here to speak it, because I know we've had some issues with Michael. Does a person ask them, well, in the event we go with you, we don't want Michael? Or just do someone else?
Well, I mean, we're not contracted to anybody, are we?
You need to kind of, that's coming up in your appointments, eventually you gotta have somebody.
Do that.
Well, and I did, there is a form that we designate to the state who our building inspector is, and I went ahead and filled it out for Inspectron because they were kind of pushing them, like they really needed it to be submitted. So according to the state, inspector on is currently are, but I'm sure you can do a new one as soon as you hire someone else.
Right.
You don't have a contract, you just need it on the form.
No, right, that's my understanding, yeah, just the form.
Well, I think we do need to create a contract on a yearly basis of sort, but
You don't need people.
I do. I guess we haven't done anything in Wade Park. Yeah.
He was like, all those things,
I think you're going with the Spectrum, but I don't know, I think Mark was doing, Mark Arn was doing, interviewing, that, Mike Fredericks was spending a lot of time on all those, so, who are they gonna send out? This time next year, it might be somebody from this school.
Have you heard anything about anybody, or one of these?
I've dealt with both. I've never had any trouble with them. Honestly, my involvement with them is pretty minimal. I kind of run the parallel path, site reviews while they're doing building reviews. My involvement, if.
So you have meetings, have you heard nightmares about you doing?
No. No, I know Jeff, I've known Jeff for a long time. Stand-up guy, I would have no concerns about him whatsoever. I do work in Wade Park too, so I cross with him in Wade Park, so I know Jeff. But I know Mark and the guys in, St. Joe as well. Like I said, I've seen both. Inspector has been in Kimball for a long time. I work with them down there, so, again, I've got nothing bad to say about either one, quite honestly.
Well, I just talked to Michael the other day, but he did say something about Inspectron having something different according to commercial properties. It was like a big number or something. He said that's the only thing that's gonna be different from going to Inspectron. Is there was something, I don't know if it was fee related, I'm trying to think of what he said. It was right when he was walking out, so I have to go back and look. There was something that we haven't run into that we will with Inspectron. Can't think what it was.
When you had called him, did you return your phone call and,
Michael, yep, he was actually in the yard the other day, yep. I know him outside of this and before he was even into that position, you know, I think he's still learning the ropes. Young yet in the industry. But I don't know Jeff either, so, and I don't know if it's something that, I'm guessing they don't have to sit in front of council, but it'd be kind of nice to meet somebody before they're, they're just here and then they're
Like something a little more
inspecting everything, so.
well, myself visiting with contractors, the Michael Fredericks is, I mean, I'm not, it sounds like I'm throwing him under the bus, is very poor at returning phone calls. That's why I asked that.
I think his predecessor was worse. So, yeah, I think he probably learned from the wrong guy. So. And I think the way that these guys are vamped, and even Michael, that's one of the things he did say. He goes, it was hard for him to be able to go to Mark and not get an answer. Or get a call back for you, Michael. And he said, now I have all these people, I'm guessing the guy in St. Joe and all these other inspectors, he goes, for a wealth of information and knowledge. And he goes, that is what I'm really excited for him personally, to be able to have those guys around, where he didn't have that.
That makes sense.
He only had Mark, and that was hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. He was in a nice spot.
Yeah, he mentioned some training courses that he went to a week or two ago to me too, that he was excited about. So maybe he's got better opportunities for learning.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
he said, yeah,
Yeah.
more opportunity, more people at his fingertips who can call and get information.
This is Michael.
That's my goal.
So that'll, I mean, versus, this is, I mean, if Jeff wants something more, I mean, I'm thinking he's gotta be more just a letter, eh? I'm like,
Oh, that was, people find out somebody sold,
right,
and,
just, oh,
right, if you want something, or if you're looking, here we are.
so, well, so they, so how does inspection feel that, you said commercial's probably gonna be higher, we don't know, or we haven't received anything from them?
I didn't see anything about fee structure from him.
There was something definitely about commercial that we were not used to seeing, right? I can call Michael tomorrow and get an answer real quick again what that was, but right now I don't remember.
Can you just ask for a fee schedule from both?
Well, I do have a fee schedule that Nate from the city of St. Joe sent me. Which,
That's for,
For inspection.
yeah. I guess I never really looked at that. And I don't know what ours, I don't know what I know what I'm reading, but,
what do we have there?
I don't know what I'm
Variance.
comparing.
Right.
How about we, let's just get a fee schedule from both and then, do we ask them to come in and talk? I don't know.
Right. Well, you never encountered this before.
Thanks, Mark.
You certainly can. Maybe we could,
How about this, let's ask them both to send us a fee schedule, and if they would like to come in, then kind of also leaves the door open, how bad they want business.
Yeah.
If one shows up, the other doesn't, it kind of goes along with two. But I don't know.
Well, it's just,
You're the building guy.
it don't matter. It really does. You had probably a really nice conversation with him.
I did, he came in for a way different issue, and he worked with somebody at the airport on that, and then he sat and visited with me, and he just kind of gave me a heads up on what's happening and where he's at, and so, it was a good conversation. I know I've had difficult conversations originally, but I think he was very overwhelmed, and like I said, he's new to the industry, and if your boss or your owner is not around to answer the question, then that's a lot of your plate too, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sit on it for a month and see what they come back with.
Yeah.
I don't know what's sitting out there, that type of thing.
As far as
Permit stuff.
It's pretty slow yet, although the last couple days I started getting questions about setbacks and planning for the spring. So,
Understand.
but, I would be fine with contacting both of these and asking if they can schedule. The same
Sure.
they would be willing to come to my
That
state.
works.
That'd be good with me.
I think so.
Sure.
Yeah, just,
Right.
getting one or the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Good there. Other old business, verbiage question.
We're here in the end, aren't we?
All right.
So the request for proposal went out, West Central Republic Services, Jeremy Boardman is right now in the process of purchasing Tom's Refuse, so he wanted to bid on it, and Waste Management also. I contacted OPAX too, to ask if they were interested, and he said, no, we're not interested in doing weekly pickup right now. Hard to hire people, don't have trucks, whatever, so, but he actually told me, he recommended West Central. So, yeah. So, what's that, mean anything for you guys?
Or I think it's not, I think Nolan's just switched to.
Yeah, to West Central.
Just got new bins today.
Yeah, now we have bids right now for West Central and Waste Management at the moment. Till Friday, I think.
Yeah, Friday, it was nice to have you, but
Yeah.
lots of garbage bins.
Looks pretty trashy, right? So just kind of give you an update.
Sure.
That's what's happening. A couple of them have contacted me to ask questions about, the RFP, so they're working on it.
And then, is there like a deadline for that?
Yeah, January, was it 31st, I think we gave them? So next Monday is the deadline.
Because in February, your contract's up, correct?
No, not till April. Toward the end of April is when the contract's up, so we have a couple months
Okay.
to look at things and,
Make decisions.
yeah.
Okay. Anybody have anything to add on that? I don't know where.
I only phone that out, yeah. Not that long ago, too. He was looking for, this, what was her name again? Or is her name? No, the one that ran Tom's.
Sharp.
Sharp. He said that he was working with her to have her help him get everything in line. Because the city, so.
In our thing, was commercial, and I don't know how it ever ended, commercial separate from residential?
Yep.
Okay.
I think we asked for two separate rates on both.
Okay.
Well, I think we asked for it, now whether or not.
I mean, I don't think we're listed there separately, there was a charge for residential, there was a charge for.
Okay.
In our document.
Okay.
And some of the questions I've gotten have been, well, what about this or that, and I just told them, give us as much information as you can. Do a separate line item. Bid two different, give us two different numbers for two different things if you want. I just kind of encourage them to communicate more rather than less. And so,
Right.
yeah, see what you can compare. More easily.
That's cool. Got it.
Waste Management got you all that information ready?
No, they haven't said anything, but I did, Jason called me the other day.
I was gonna say that.
Asking questions.
Oh.
Yeah. No, not a little bit shot. He just, I forget what his question was, but something about filling out the RFP. So he's planning on sending us another bid. So, yeah.
Good luck with that. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, new business, Johnson Jet Line contract. Gordon? Got any info for it?
They were here when I came in, and I guess I have had nothing, I have nothing bad to say about it. Haven't had any issues with anything. I think I probably had them here 3 times for emergency calls.
So
And
so
they're
this is
usually
probably more of a
here.
question for Dave, being that we got all these new linings and all this, do we need this?
So, the league with your insurance says you're supposed to get it through your system once every 5 years.
Oh,
So, I would encourage you to have either a regular program or contract it periodically. These guys have by far the most comprehensive program I've seen of anybody that does them, as far as a good setup and making sure it happens. So, but yeah, I think the trick is, new lines or not, we still need to clean them every 5 years. Now, they're not going to be as bad as they used to be. It's going to be a lot easier.
So now, so what, they split town into fifths, and then they do
And since they've gone through it once already, they know what they're up against, they know the spots they want to hit every time or every, whenever they, there's something to be said for keeping consistency.
I'd make a motion to
What exactly?
sign the contract, I guess. Is there a yearly fee?
Yeah, so that's what, I'm not. Or it's just based on what they find wrong, or?
Page 35.
It's based on the feet they do.
The number of feet, yeah.
But I'm looking at two exactly the same things. One's 5,600, one's 10,000.
Cleaning versus cleaning and televising.
They both say that.
They both say it.
One says.
Clean or televise or clean.
Oh.
Well, look at,
Tricky.
The
In most cases, we aren't gonna televise until we have a problem. We don't need to televise after 5 years.
So you did that part.
Yes. You do televising as needed. When we have something coming up or if we have a specific problem we want to address. Newer pipes, there's no reason to do it like this.
anybody remember what they charged us the last?
I think it was $5,000.
It's, looks familiar, but,
I think it's in that range. It does vary on number of feet, you know, limit,
so it's still in the ballpark.
yeah.
I want to say they were like 65 cents last time, but 5 years later, you'd expect it to be a few cents higher.
Well, Jake, you made a motion to,
Let's say $500 to clean and televise, or televising. So say 1 year you have to do both, let's say $500. So it's a, or televise, so I guess if you have to televise and not seeing your period, if you have a problem, they're gonna charge you another $5,691. But if you contract it to clean and televise over 5 years, you're only getting a $500 discount. So $10,821. But they're doing both, I thought, you know, if you're gonna contract that, you're gonna clean and televise, it's like a $500 discount. But you're not taking both of them.
But it's that much per year.
I mean, so at this point though, they've already gone through everything, the last 5 years. So like right now, like you said before, any problem areas either have been fixed now, or they already know about it. And they could, if it continues, they could televise just that portion of it.
Yeah. And we aren't gonna see the bills for heavy cleaning like we had in the past in areas that hadn't been done. Because now it's been 5 years, but it hasn't been 15 years like it.
So now this is just preventative maintenance now.
That's exactly what this is.
Okay. Okay. Jake made a motion.
Still have that motion, yes.
So is that a motion to choose the clean or televised option then? On the, it looks like we have to mark, which one we want.
Say clean.
Clean or televised.
Televised.
I'll second that motion. All right. Jake motion, Jake seconds. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right.
Well, then you would check the company. Clean or televised, and then you might as well check the GPS mapping, because that's included. Right? And then the emergency calls would be to be determined in case we actually need them. Am I looking at that wrong?
No, you are right.
We should need those.
It says,
They-
there's no chart on multi-year plan.
Right.
Yeah, so that would be for the clean.
What's that?
Any emergency.
They come up, you never know what somebody wants.
All right, fee schedule ordinance.
So I didn't change anything except for the water piece based on this lady's recommendation, of course. So,
Well, no building.
I was gonna say that, right, yeah, like to that.
Right off the bat, with
Yeah.
the inspector on.
right,
Could.
there it is.
Well, yeah, and that only just changed what, 8 months ago? When Mark came in here and said something about we're changing our,
Oh, you did do that before.
what is that? Put that part of it
Can we change that?
Well, I'm guessing because it says per the inspector, the inspector does not just mean whoever your inspector is,
Oh,
they gave you your fees, right, is that,
perfect.
right? Yeah. So we're saying, yeah, whatever they, so we think that's what they charge.
So, just looking at the noxious weed part of it, we can up these numbers, can we not? So, I'm thinking that that part of it, just stay on top of it a little bit, I mean, because if wages always are increasing, gas never goes cheaper. I mean, so if we stay at this rate, oh, let's up it up to like $125 a cracker. I mean, because it's gotta cover the time and the labor, the, everything else on it. I don't know if that changes what else if we do it that way, but. Minimum charge for removal, I would, anybody gets $150.
So how is this bill, minimum charge? So if we're just there for 5 minutes, it's $95. But if we use a lawnmower,
Then it's basic.
we add the 95 plus the 90?
Good question, we don't do this very often at all, like, I think maybe I've done it once since I've been here.
Yeah, and I think
Usually
we,
Lauren just tells me,
I know there was a corner house, the one where the apartments, now it's for sale. No, we were going towards the school right on the corner. That one we mowed, some company owned it, and we just charged them $95 a time.
Okay.
So like, that's probably cheaper than what they can hire it out.
It took me 5 minutes. It was on my way to the other park.
Well, I see all these numbers, and that's what made me a little confused, or if we use a lawnmower, we start with 95, and then we add the 60, or,
I think you do a minimum of like 150, and then hourly use is $100. Yeah. I mean, it has to be somewhat punitive. I mean, if it's, not that,
oh, no, I hear you. I just want to make it so we know, so they know what to charge.
So what did you say, $100 minimum, 150?
it's, well, it would be, I don't know what minimum charge for removal.
And as I read it, if you got these hourly rates, you start by figuring out how much time it is, but no bill is ever gonna be less than $95.
So then, 250,
But if it takes you 10 minutes, don't you just charge for an hour? I mean, we,
what's the difference in the two? Guessing after an hour.
I think we should just erase a bunch of stuff.
Why don't we just say this much money?
$90.
Yeah, so you could go either way, right?
I want to get rid of the equipment and just say the charge is $150.
Okay, so how about this? Let's get rid of the lawn tractor, lawnmower, and labor. What's the difference between that and the line above it?
Nothing.
Okay,
Is
so
there
then,
a tractor versus a lawn tractor? Is there a bigger tractor that could,
Maybe they're two different sizes.
are there different?
probably,
I mean, it is the same one either.
I'm not for simplifying, just.
yeah.
Yeah, the last one, I would get the
the last
So
one.
if we strike the last line,
Okay.
but then, okay, so it's $150 minimum, but now, let's do this $150 hourly, in case it takes 2 hours. You know, I mean, what, we don't know what we're getting into, but.
And it doesn't matter what equipment we're using.
No,
Yep.
it covers it, and it covers the labor, the gas, or the fuel, or whatever we want to call it, just, like, keep up on your own stuff. Watch your own dollar.
As long as it's our equipment. If we gotta rent something,
Yeah, right.
you know, then you're paying that.
Then you're paying that.
So, I want to make sure, we settled on minimum of 150? Is that right? Minimum
That's
tractor?
my thought. Yep.
And then tractor mower labor hourly is 150 as well? Per hour?
I would just,
Well, now that makes
Per hour.
sense.
Per hour after the first line. I believe it's after 2 hours, that's $300.
Yep.
Okay, and then strike the last line.
Yep.
Okay.
Unless anybody. Start talking for ideas out there.
Just to cause trouble. If you go with your page 41, then you've got public nuisance response, and you've got essentially the same thing. And then further down under other, you've got this lawn tractor, lawnmower, laborly, hourly. So
Let's change that to, yeah.
are you gonna change all of those?
Yep. Fine, 2 cents, yes.
Okay.
So, 2010 public nuisance, here's the last line.
Yep. Perfect. Good. So then nuisance response becomes 150. Okay.
And then the equipment's 150.
Correct.
Other, it says on tractor and tractor, this 90 goes to 150.
Anything on the fire department go up that you guys know about?
no.
What's it called? Compress, cold compress.
For medical stuff. Like them
Oh,
cold bags, you can. Did you have to have that, Jake, when you got at the ball diamond down there?
you guys are too slow. I was ready halfway tomorrow, but then you guys walk it over there.
Well, we have our new rig jig, then you don't gotta worry.
I just remember reading this that Albany did. So Albany got rid of their animal license fee. It was kind of a pain in the butt for office staff.
I know a lot of people don't abide by it anyway.
Right. It's kind of an
It's hard to,
unenforceable thing.
yeah.
And then boarding fee. Bring it to Albany and just put actual costs on it, and let them take care of it. Or wherever, I don't know.
I've never boarded an
I was
animal.
gonna say, where would you go?
Right, so. when
Well,
we have it-
one time you kept the dog in the main and check.
Oh, but that would have fallen under the impound fee,
Oh.
where I picked it up off of the street somewhere.
Right, oh, okay.
You pick
No, they're good for the environment.
Should we get rid of the animal license?
So you said no.
Isn't that like a, is that like an ordinance?
I think we'd have to take a look at the ordinance, if you were gonna get rid of it, you'd still have like a license requirement, you just have no fee.
You still want to register to the city, right, just in case something happens, correct?
And I think that's mostly why they encourage people to do it, so that you've got
Another collar on it.
a tag on the animal, so if you find it, you have a chance of getting it back to the owner.
It is nice to have a tag on them with a number, you can at least find out who it is.
I just remember all being beaten away with something or other, just because it was.
To be honest, I think I'm the only person I know that actually has a dog registered in this town.
We don't have the city tag on them,
Why?
because it jingles all the
Oh.
time. I know exactly what my dog is for. It's all nose in my ear. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I don't know. Yeah. This is, my 2 cents, let's look at least getting rid of it. I don't know, I mean, what's it?
Well, the good thing is, it's only a one-time, you know, it's not even an annual, like, renewal, like other cities. It's a one-time, get a tag, maybe. So it's not, you know, like, it would be worth it every year, they have to be registered.
Maybe that's what. Okay. I think we need it. Okay. Anything else on that? All good?
So, temporary on sale 3-2. Are they even that? Pretty sure they're even at 3-2. If it's too strong here, well, we could cross that off.
Did they get rid of it?
What it did. Yep. I just ordered beer this week for the son of the club. Can't get in 3-2 wheel.
Great softball.
No, it's just strong beer. You keep it in it too. Just in case they haven't, but I couldn't order any, so.
Leave it and see what happens, nobody pulled the up, bring it.
Yeah.
All good?
I'll make a motion with the changes.
Okay. Tim, motion, do we have seconds? For the fee schedule? Sarah seconds. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Right.
Opposed? Carried. All right, resolution 2022-01.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-01. Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Can we do them all at once?
You probably should do it.
You've got separate resolutions.
Okay. Motion second, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 2022-02.
That motion.
Motion second.
I'll second that.
Sarah second.
Okay,
All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 2022-03. Resolution approving donations
2022-03.
There you go, Nick.
Second.
Okay, now with this thing, aye. Carried. That one,
Nothing changed with this one either,
this one good.
same as it was before.
Resolution 2022-04, disbursement and payment of claims policy. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motions. Seconds. In favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Oh, boy. Nick, did you really do the tax appeal?
Yes, he's already done he's all signed up.
Is there,
Yeah, yours expires, I think, in July of this year. So if you wanted to do it after this year, you'd have to redo the term again. I don't know that,
oh, not really, right?
yeah.
So building inspector, we can cross that one off and put a question mark in them, or inspector them?
I guess according to the state inspector right now, right?
At the moment it is, so I suppose that's what we should put.
You can change it. Just be sure to tell the state.
The H is still in there. We like it.
Or does it say acting version?
Tim's in charge.
Oh. No. You know, sure. You're a good boss.
I get about at least more than 2 seconds.
Oh, no, you're good.
That happened.
Yeah.
You're so good at it. You're right, take that away from you.
Say acting mayor. We want to change any of that in case we record this. That will take care of that.
I don't.
I mean, what,
That's cool. What if something happened in Freeport? Where else did?
Somebody will send us a text. Zoom.
That's it.
well, if you want to teach your kid, just put me on there. Put my mouse down. Whatever you want.
Sarah's all good with EDA?
Sure. I can remember to go to these. Or know when they are. How long do we have Schlanner winter for yet?
I think another year or two, probably.
I know we signed like a 3
We
year.
usually do 3 years, yeah.
Okay, I was just curious. Yep.
We need a motion to approve appointments.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve appointments. Nick approves, we have seconds. Motions.
Well, second.
Jake seconds, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Motion to adjourn. Oh, wait, motion here. Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed?
I was just looking at this.
No, I'm gonna go.
Are you gonna get new one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, I didn't know, like, I mean, there's still room,
Right, no,
Yeah, maybe. Good. Good?
Come along,
Being the little clean bug I am,
come along.
I mean,
I wasn't in line, but
we can bring all those, because those are just copies, I have the original originals. So, we don't need any of those.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
I didn't know if you wanted to keep them. No? Like, get rid of all those?
I'll just come, like, what is it, like, at the next council? Or do you hear like a half hour sooner?
Yeah.
Because I could just
You know?
come over away.
Sure.
I got that, I'm right here.
Yep. Yep.
okay, right in the middle.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Basically, what I do, I just do a little cover sheet thing for you, maybe you did, but, so that's, yeah. But yeah, you want to do that, that'd be fine.
No, yeah. I'll come a little earlier. And rush through this stuff.
Oh, she turned the socks back in.
Okay.
Bye, Brandon. Bye, Brandon.
Oh, great. That's what I was doing.
Sorry, shut his off, man.
The city break.
No, now he knows when the good stuff is happening. Yeah. Start pulling the cords, like, there's a bunch over there.
Oh, that was the one.
I push the start stop button, but it's still going.
So this is for, the most recent one?
Hey, Joan, how do you shut this thing off?
Oh, just unplug from the wall.